welcome to our SportsZone All Access show for this Thursday, October the 2nd here on KELOLAND Plus. I'm Sports Director Grant Sweeter with sports reporter Kelsey Dennehy. And Kelsey will only be here for a short time today because big game coming up this week. You got Augustana USF, the key to the city rivalry, and we're very honored to have both Coach Jim Glogowski from USF and Jerry Olszewski from Augustana joining us to give us some great interviews coming up here in our second and third segments today. And so, unfortunately, they'll be replacing Kelsey. So let's get some good knowledge out of her before we bring in the coaches. And let's start off by talking about SDSU and USD. First, the Jackrabbits hosting number 24 Youngstown State. Not hosting, going to Ohio to play number 24 Youngstown State. And the Jackrabbits, simply put, they had some things they wanted to improve on. They did that in their bye week, and then they came out and played the best game that they've played all season, wire to wire, blowing out a struggling Mercyhurst team, yes, but they looked the part of a dominant number 2 team in the country.
For sure. And I think that's the key part. Obviously, you have the caveat of Mercyhurst is struggling, but I feel like that's the perfect game to come out of a bye week in because you get to
put those things to the test.
Right. Yep. You get to put those things to the test in a more comfortable, lower stakes environment. Now, that's not to say that you wouldn't be prepared and as mentally and physically ready, but it allows for a little bit more wiggle room. But truthfully, the Jackrabbits didn't really need it. They were able to pick up the pace quite quickly, and once they did, after the first really 2 or 3 touchdowns, the game was long gone.
Yeah, it was. And now they got Youngstown State, who Dan Jackson talked about.
Their offense is led by their quarterback. He's pretty special. He's got double the carries of anybody else on their offense, so he's going to run the ball a lot, whether it's designed or scramble. So I think he does a nice job. You could tell that he has a good understanding of their offense too.
Yeah, good understanding of their offense, and a big game for the Jackrabbits, their second-ranked matchup. Youngstown State, and it's the start of conference play, so you always obviously want to start off on the right foot in conference play. That's a 5 p.m. kickoff in Youngstown, Ohio on Saturday. Another game going on Saturday, it's D-Days. It's the homecoming for the USD Coyotes, and they got a little humbled last week against a really good NDSU team, and I think it spoke volumes maybe to USD a little bit, but more to how good NDSU is as well. And so, they're looking to get back in the win column.
Truthfully, Grant, there wasn't necessarily, and that's not coming from the USD program, but NDSU is very good. There wasn't necessarily an expectation that they weren't going to win that game. It was more of to see how much USD has improved, and NDSU just shut them down.
Well, they hit them in the mouth right away. And
that's
you could
where
tell
it counts.
That threw everything off. Yeah.
Exactly. They came out with a punch, and USD wasn't really able to get their bearings.
No.
They didn't score a touchdown until the last minute of the fourth quarter.
Well, USD's not built to play from multiple scores behind with the way they run the ball. But now big opportunity with Murray State coming to town, and for a chance for them to get right with a win.
Our focus is on Murray State. One single person and opponent in front of us, and if we do that week after week, we're going to find ourselves in a position at the end of this season to accomplish our goals.
Yeah, focusing week after week. Murray State hasn't won a game yet, and so USD trying to take advantage of that and keep it that way, and continue the good work they had been doing prior to NDSU. So. I think they're still a work in progress. They're heading the right way. Talking about good teams, though, we got Augustana and USF, key to the city, coming up this Saturday. We'll have that game live. We'll talk with Coach Jerry Olszewski when we come back to SportsZone All Access. And welcome back to SportsZone All Access. And we try to get interviews on here. It's really something we're starting in our process of getting coaches, players to come on. And when we do that, it's usually because we got a good game or a good team to talk about. Well, we have both with our next guest here joining us, Augustana head coach Jerry Olszewski. And Coach, thanks for taking the time to come talk to us.
Oh, thanks for having me, Grant. Appreciate it.
Of course. And, I mentioned there's a couple of reasons we got you on this week. One, you got a good football team. You got a team that's off to 5-0 start this season. In the last couple of games, I've noticed really good starts for you guys, really getting ahead early. How big has that kind of been here in the last couple of games?
Well, it's really big because we certainly didn't have that against UMary. We talked about this during fall camp. We're a growing football team. We lost 22 into 2 deep last year, 13 starters, so there's a lot of new faces. And with that comes new experiences. And that game was great for us. We ended up with a W, so many learning points to it, both our run game productivity, our red zone defense, and then also the ability to strike early and play 4 quarters.
Certainly. And for you guys, 5-0, against Winona State this last week, again, got that big lead, got a really cool Hail Mary there at halftime. It seemed again that was a priority for you guys to get an early lead, and you guys kind of put it away there after the first 3 quarters.
Yeah, we felt real good about how we were playing. Really, we stopped ourselves offensively. We had 2 fumbles. Opening drive, we're moving the ball, and Isaiah Huber's, to me, one of the best players in our conference, and just had a helmet on the football and spit it up. And then we get one over the middle with Braylon Blunt, and it just was a perfect timing hit and gave it up. Other than that, we moved the field, I think, every time. And certainly in the second half, the first 2 drives of that, too, we scored points. So we just can't have self-influenced turnovers and false starts and things like that. When we clean that up, we're going to be a better football team.
Certainly, and, going back, watching that game, I noticed a few guys get banged up there in the second half. How's the team looking from that perspective?
Football is football. It's a physical sport, and sometimes it comes in bunches, and it certainly did on Saturday. So we're dealing with that and seeing what our medical team has to say, and but the next guy up has to be ready at all time. And especially in a young football team, there's a ton of competition right now. There has been since fall camp. So some guys got to step up into a more important role and maybe more reps and all those things that come with it. And that's a good thing. When we play pretty deep already as a football team, we play deep defensively. We've been playing deep offensively. So I'm excited for what that has to be and what it might be.
Certainly. And when you talk about, the program you guys have kind of built, we talked about this preseason, but you guys graduated a lot of talent last year and were able to reload the way that you have. It's kind of a similar thing, when you do have those injuries, you see what that talent, that program depth is built.
Well, you take away the offensive player of the year in the league, the defensive player in the league, multiple all-conference players, and guys who had significant roles. Prime example, our first football game, 20 of the 23 points. It's been a staple of our program, I think, to develop good talent. And like you said, reload, not rebuild. And I think we've recruited well, and I know our players all practice their tail off, and they're smart kids. So we're going to put it on them a little bit more.
Certainly. And when you look at your schedule off to a 5-0 start, you've had a couple of really close ones. And I tell you what, I'm sure from your perspective, you wouldn't call them thrilling, but that Missouri Western UMary games, we really got to see, the adversity of your guys' teams, being down early in those games and being able to fight back and kind of build that adversity early in the season.
That's one of the things that has impressed me most with this team has been their resilience and just their calm. Our coaching staff doesn't lose faith and doesn't get all wickety, out of sorts. It's just a calm presence. Like, this is what we need to do. Now go get it done. That was a good thing for a young program to have to go through. I think we had 5 2-minute drives already. We've had to field an onside kick. We've got a safety return. All the things that you practice all fall and even in the spring ball have mostly come to fruition already in our young season at this point. And with a young team, the more situational football that they can play and experience that they can have in those moments, and then ended up being W's, is a good thing.
Well, and that's where I was going with the W's is, winning at that same time too. I mean, that's kind of, the extra advantage when you can, like you said, grow a young program and win at the same time. That's the ideal situation in every program. Yeah,
and when they've seen guys do it before them and now it's their opportunity to do it, that's so refreshing as a football coach. And to be honest with you, it galvanizes the football team. we have a saying in our program, players and plans change, expectations do not. And the kids live that. And I've been really proud of them from that perspective. And that doesn't mean it always goes your way. But when the mindset is there, I like our chances.
Got a big one coming up. It's the one that everyone circles on the calendar every year. The city circles it. It's the key to the city. And it's always a lot of fun to see USF, Augustana cross paths. And it's such a cool rivalry, too, with the fact you guys are literally less than a mile away from each other. And this is a big one here, Coach.
Yeah, for sure. And they return a ton of talent and players from last year's team. They were pretty young last year. So as we go into this game, you can take the records and throw them away regardless of where it's at. These kids play for pride. They play for each other. It means something to both schools. It's certainly – and the neat thing about it is some of these guys were teammates in high school or played against each other in high school. They see each other at the grocery stores and at the gas stations. So – it's a 1 week a year deal, and then you got to live with it for a year. But generally speaking, I think they all get along pretty well, except for that Saturday.
Yeah, that Saturday. We see not just the competitiveness, but we see some really good football too. And that's the thing about USF and Augustana's rich football program histories that collide. And are all playing for a 4-foot piece of wood that's in the shape of a key.
Yeah, and that's the neat thing. It's the only physical treasure that we play for all year long. That goes with it, too. The other part of it is you hit it on the head, Grant. Both teams have playoff aspirations every year. Both teams have an ideal of what they want to be, and I think well coached. And, it comes down to one opportunity for 60 minutes, and then you move on to the next one. And this year it has those implications again at this early point in the season at least. I expect a good one and a hard-fought game with both teams going after it.
Well, and simply put, you've got the key in your office right now. I'm sure you'd like the boys and the team and the program to bring that one back for you too.
Yeah, and it's not for me; it's for them. It's great when you can have those moments, and when you do, again, that's 12 months, and then you go do it again. For those scenarios. And we've been on the other side of that often early on when I got here. And now it's a 1-year game. You literally got one time to play in 2025, and then you live with the results. So we'd love to have it back again and make sure that we play a quality game that earns that.
No doubt. And it's always a fun time. The weather looks a little warm this year, actually, but we won't be raining. It won't be anything like that. It'll be a good day for some football on Saturday.
Usually windy at the Bob, so that'll cool people off a little bit.
Yes.
That's for sure. But, it's been a warm fall so far through the entirety of it. We had one cooler game with some rain a little bit. Other than that, it's been an amazing fall, and I would expect a great Saturday for people to see two good football teams going after it.
For sure, Coach. That's what we needed. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate you, Grant. Have a blessed day.
Yeah, you too. That was Coach OJ joining us there, and we'll get the other side of the conversation when Coach Glogowski joins us next on SportsZone All Access. And welcome back to SportsZone All Access here on this Thursday, October the 2nd. We're previewing some college football games that are coming up this weekend, and that includes the big Key to the City matchup, which we'll have live coverage on, and this guy's going to be busy on Saturday as Jim Glogowski joining us here. And, Jim, thanks for taking the time to come and talk about a big game you got coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to be down here.
Yeah, and, we look at to preview this game, it was really good to go back and look at the last couple of weeks for you guys. You guys have played a really tough couple of teams here, and they, didn't go your way. But what have you guys kind of taken away from the last 2 weeks playing a couple of tough teams?
Well, I think you look at the last couple of games, and obviously you're playing teams that are, very talented, very well coached, and we didn't play our best. I think if I look at the last two games, there's probably 3 quarters where I really felt like we, the game got away from us in the first half against Duluth, and then the third quarter against Mankato. But our kids played really hard. I think our kids came out focused last week, and I think we're making progress as a football team. I think as you go through the season, it can be tough sometimes. You start looking at maybe 1 or 2 weeks and not seeing the big picture. And so really the body of work at the end of the season is going to tell the story about what kind of football team we were in 25. Right now, obviously we've got a big game coming up this weekend. It's the key to the city. It'll be actually the halfway point of our year at halftime, right? You're exactly 5.5 games through the season. And so we'll have a better idea of where we're at after this game. But the last few weeks have certainly prepared us for big moments, and I'm hoping our kids are ready to go. And I think they've practiced well so far this week, and I think we'll be ready to go.
I kind of looked at this, a few weeks ago. I was looking at your schedule and went, wow, there's not many teams in the country that have to play 3 top 16 teams back to back weeks, and you guys have, and has that kind of helped you guys learn, maybe something about your team, going up against, some of the best competition, certainly the NSIC has, but Division II has as well.
Yeah, we've definitely been challenged. There's no doubt. And I go back to we opened up at Black Hill State, which is a tough road trip. Northern States, obviously, after the game that we played against those guys, they've had a great run. I think they're 3-1 or 4-1 right now. Obviously, Duluth's undefeated, and Mankato has the one loss to Duluth. So it certainly has, it certainly tested us. There's no doubt about that. And I've told people this all along. You're going to play those teams one way or the other. I don't know if you want to play them all right in a row, but could we use a bye week? Yeah, we could definitely use a bye week. I'm sure a lot of coaches would say that. But, at the end of the day, you've got to play them when they show up on the schedule. We don't shy away from it. We want to be a good football team. We want to be a great football team. And if you want to be a really good football team, you've got to beat other good football teams. And after last year, where I think to some degree the strength of schedule maybe cost us a playoff opportunity, that's certainly not going to be the case this year. We've got a strong schedule. We've got really talented teams on that schedule, and it's going to bring out the best in us one way or the other.
Certainly. And for you guys, the thing that impressed me the most the first 3 weeks was the ball control, running the football. You've seen teams, they know that, right? They know that's what they want to try to take away. It looked better last week against Mankato, but how do you get back to, being able to do that and what worked so well those first 3 games?
Yeah, I think you go back and obviously you're always doing some self-scouting of yourself, but after those first 3 games, I think we were one of the top teams in the country at time of possession, running the ball at a high level, and we're still running the ball fairly well. I think we had close to 150 yards against Mankato on Saturday. I think the challenge for us is not getting behind the sticks, not finding ourselves in 2nd and 3rd and long. And I think when you find yourself in those situations, you really, push the chips to the other side of the ball as far as they're getting the advantages, and I think that's one thing we've got to do a great job of is staying ahead of the sticks, staying in 2nd and 4, 5, and 6, not 2nd, 8, 9, and 10. And then 3rd down. And I think Saturday against Mankato was a great example of that, where we found ourselves in some really tough situations, and those become really difficult to manage. And I think for us, being productive on 1st down, and then ultimately it's field position. I think we've got to do a better job of making sure that the opponent is going to have a long field to drive. And that was certainly the case in the first 3 weeks where our opponents had some long fields. It seems like the last couple of weeks that they've had shorter fields. And so, obviously it's common sense. If you have to go 70, 80 yards instead of 20 or 30 or 40, you're going to have a lot more chances to stop them.
Well, and flip the script to the other side of the ball defensively. You guys have obviously faced some of the best offenses in the state, in the country, I should say, in that argument. But how have you kind of felt the defense has played here over the last couple of weeks?
Well, I think we started off really strong, and some of the mistakes we made were maybe 1 or 2 mistakes that led to some big plays. And I think what you've seen the last 2 weeks is just kind of a matter of going back to that time of possession, being worn down a little bit. And as the game wears on, sometimes your focus lapses and maybe your execution is not as great. And that's a byproduct of spending more time on the field. I go back to the first couple weeks, and you're spending 18 to 22 minutes on the field playing defense. Now we're up to that 28, 29 mark. There's certainly opportunities where we've got to be better, and we've got to execute better through the course of the game, and can't have the spurts and the lapses and breakdowns mentally that we've had, and health-wise too. There's certainly an element there too. It's no secret that we've had a couple guys banged up. But we talk about in our program all the time, we coach everybody like they're a starter. The expectation is that everybody plays. And as coaches, we've got to do a great job of putting them in a position. And when kids get opportunities, they got to make plays. And that's certainly not something that's lost on our kids. They know that. They're trying hard. They're working hard. And, sometimes it's a matter of a ball getting tipped, taking a funny bounce. Maybe the guy trips and you make a big play. And, you need some of those breaks as well. So trying to create our own breaks by playing hard and being consistent, that's certainly something we focused on.
And you talk about this tough run, and it continues this week. Top 10 team, you guys get to play at home, and it's a rivalry matchup too. So, I mean, there's always a lot that goes into this game. It's homecoming for you guys as well. I mean, there's a lot going on for the Augustana USF game on Saturday.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible actually that you've got two good programs in the same city, just blocks away. The cool thing is that folks like you are interested, the local community is interested, and like I tell people all the time, this is about our players having a great experience, both Augustana and Sioux Falls. These guys are going to go out there, they're going to compete their tails off. We want a great crowd out there, that kind of environment. That makes it that much more exciting, and the kids in general deserve that kind of atmosphere, and I'm hoping we'll have a great crowd, which I'm sure we will. But, yeah, no doubt, Coach OJ does a great job with those guys. He's got an established program. They've had a lot of success. You can tell that they have an identity. They know what they're trying to do. They play hard. They're disciplined, and that's how you get to 5-0. You play week in and week out consistent football, and you give yourself a chance. So, but yeah, all in all, when you've got two schools that are literally blocks away from each other, whether it's football, basketball, whatever it is, baseball, soccer, it makes the intensity that much hotter, and that's what makes it cool.
Yeah, and I think it's cool too, having something to play for. Obviously, getting to play for the key to the city, and it's just, you can call it bragging rights or whatever it is, Jim. But it's just it's a cool thing to have a little trophy to play for. Not every rivalry has that.
No, absolutely, and there's not very many out there. And so, again, you throw the location into it, the fact that there's a trophy to play for. I think I was telling the kids it's a 4-foot-tall piece of aspen, I think is what it is, or ash or whatever.
Sure.
So it's a pretty cool deal. It's got the logo on both sides, and that rush at the end of the game to go get that key, to get that trophy and hoist it above your head, and it signifies accomplishment. It signifies what goes into that, the commitment, the sacrifice, and we haven't had it for a couple years. There's no doubt about it. And I think overall, I think it's been 12 years that this rivalry's gotten kind of full speed ahead, and I think we've won 8 of the 12.
Sure.
I think as far as the history of it. But the last 2 haven't felt very good. You don't feel very good at the end of the year if you don't have that key in your office in the offseason. It matters in recruiting. It matters in a lot of things. And so, yeah, that key signifies the rivalry, and winning the football game becomes the utmost important every year, and it's a big deal, and we don't shy away from that. It's exciting, and that's what college football is all about.
Yeah, it certainly is, and it's you can't tell me it's not bragging rights, right? I mean,
no,
I'm sure these kids want that key.
There's no downplaying this and acting like it's no big deal. I mean, some coaches might be acting like, it's just another game. I don't think it's just another game. It's certainly a big game. It's the next game and all that kind of cliche type talk. But in terms of what that signifies when you're that close and you're going to see each other at Hy-Vee or wherever else, or Bagel Boy, and you're going to see these guys, and it certainly feels good when you see that opposing team, and you've got that trophy. But that's certainly something we've been focused on, and that's our goal for Saturday.
No doubt, Coach. Thanks for taking the time and joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's awesome.
All right, that was Coach Jim Glogowski, who took the time to join us here today, and we certainly thank him for joining in as we preview the big key to the city game. You can watch that live on KELO Extra, KELOLAND.com, and KELOLAND Plus on Saturday. Coverage begins at 1 p.m. Well, thanks for tuning in to SportsZone All Access, and have a good day.